Hey everyone, I'm just here to make a quick tutorial teaching you how to replace the bearings on your spool. So there are two bearings that you want to replace, and those are this bearing here on your side plate, and that's held in place by a little spring, a retaining spring. And then take your spool out. On the inside you'll see this bearing here. We're also going to replace that, and that's held in place with this spool pin, and this is friction fit. So ideally what you want to have is a special tool called a spool pin removing tool. This is what it looks like. However, if you don't have one of those, which I don't, you can still remove this pin with a couple little things that you probably have lying around at home. You just need to take a bit of extra care, and I'll show you how I do it. Okay, let's get into it. So naturally, before we go ahead and replace the bearings, we first need access to them. So you want to take off your side plate, take out your spool, and you can place your reel to the side. Firstly, we'll replace this bearing, because this takes much less effort to remove than this one here. So as you can see, this bearing is being held in place by this retaining clip, and that's being held under this little lip that goes around the circumference of this hole. So what you want to get is something with a pointy end on it. I'm just going to use these scissors. It just needs to be pointy enough for you to be able to get between one side of that spring and the rim. You want to poke that through, and if you're not careful, this thing might fling out across the room and you won't be able to find it anymore. So what you want to do is you just want to hold your thumb over it and then just pop it out, and that'll keep everything in place. Just take a little care, try not to damage anything or scratch anything, and there we go. That's the retaining clip. So you want to put that to the side, don't lose track of it, and now we have full access to the bearing and we can remove it. Now, for some of you, the tolerances of this hole might be tight enough that it might not just fall out. On some other reels it might just fall out, no issues. On mine it doesn't. What you can do is, again, you could get something pointy and try and lever it out. But instead of that, what I like to do, hold my palm out, just give it a little smack, and there we go. There's the bearing. Hole, bearing, there you go. Now I'm going to put this to the side because we're going to be replacing it with these full ceramic bearings. And I just got these off AliExpress. I'm happy to put a link down in the description if you want to pick these bearings up in particular. So there we go. On this particular reel, the bearing that goes inside the side plate is the one with the smaller inner diameter. So I'll just put this to the side for now. Just a quick segment on ball bearing anatomy. You'll notice that there's an outer race, the inner race, the ball bearings, and then those ball bearings are held apart at equal distances with a cage. There's a better view of the cage. What I like to do is I like to put my bearing in with that cage facing outwards, just like that. I just feel like having that cage ring facing outwards, it just helps with you know, sand or debris not getting into the ball bearing. Now we just do the reverse steps. Get the retaining clip. And just be a little careful and use a bit of dexterity. Feed one side under the lip first, and this is pretty easy. You can just kind of compress that clip a little bit, and you can get that back where it needs to go. No dramas. Now that that's done, we move on to the bearing that's actually on the spool. And like I said before, it's held in place with this little pin here, and that's friction fit in. So in my case, I can see that the left side of the pin is skinnier than the right. Not this distance in this direction, but in this direction. And we need that pin to come out this way. This way. Skinnier side gets pushed into the spool and out. Now I don't have a proper spool pin removing tool, so I've just had to make do with what I have lying around at home. So I'm going to get my pliers, and you want to be fairly careful with this. You don't want to bend anything, but if you're just a little bit careful. There we go. We've pushed it in as far as it will go. And you'll notice that the pin doesn't fall out. It's still held in place. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to find something with a smaller diameter than that pin. And I'm going to have to gently tap it out. So this is just a screwdriver bit. Now you have to be fairly careful because you don't want to bend or deform the outer rim of your spool. So I'm working on a microfiber cloth. It's fairly thick, and I know that even if I have to use a little bit of force to tap that spool pin all the way out, this is going to cushion the outer rim of that spool. Now I'm just going to find something that I can use as a hammer. This will do. I don't really have anything else at hand at the moment. It's a hammer now. So again, what you want to do is you want to position that punch right on top of that spool. Use a hammer or something hard and heavy and gently tap that out. There we go. There's your spool pin. Again, place that to the side. Don't lose track of it. And now the bearing falls right out. Perfect. Keep that to the side. Get the bearing that we want to replace it with. And again, what I like to do is orient the bearing so that the outside of that ball cage faces out. Just like that. Perfect. Now we want to replace that spool pin, and luckily you only need the pliers for this part. Just like so. Get your pliers. Try not to bend anything or damage anything. It shouldn't take much force. And there we go. All done. So now just reassemble your spool. And you're all done. Thanks for watching, and yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed.